Hello YouTube, ValleyGirl5678 here, and it's time for another review. Got my iced latte, got my construction noises. I think we're ready. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Megan Thee Stallion album, Traumazie. This is the second full-length LP for Megan following 2020's Good News. An album which definitely had some bangers as well as some deep cuts, but overall did feel a little bloated to me, and still does after re-listening. Right off the bat, for this album release, we got a darker vibe. Megan herself on her Instagram said that the lyrical content on this album was more personal than ever before, and you get that right from the get-go with the first track, NDA. This track is a strong opener that lays the groundwork for Megan taking control of her own news cycle, of her own narrative, and this remains throughout the rest of the album. So yeah, it's a good opener, a good gateway into the rest of the album. The second track, Ungrateful, you can feel her anger quite viscerally through her performance. The Key Glock feature is fine, but Megan carries the song for sure. The next track, Not Nice, really helped me sympathize and understand even more what Megan deals with from the public in general, not just from the media, but from bitches, as she calls them. On that note, specifically the line, "And after all I did for bitches, this is how they do me." This brings me to a rant that I have talked about with, people in my life, but have never, talked about on the internet. But, Megan as a celebrity, as a musician, as a pop culture figure is so important. I wish I had a Megan Thee Stallion when I was 15. She has done so much for women, not just black women, women in general. She has consistently called out bullshit from men and media in general, and, kept going and kept, dancing to the beat of her own drum no matter what. She's an example of how women can be masculine and pretty, can be hard and classy or, soft at the same time. And most importantly, she shows that all you have to do to be successful is be yourself. Obviously, not that other female artists haven't shown us this in the past, but she is, a non-tiny, female rapper who is dominating the charts above the male rappers. Like I previously mentioned, she does have masculine qualities to her that scare men. For example, the other day I was at work and I was talking to two coworkers that both of them are musicians and are into music, and I talked to them about music a lot. They're both straight men in their 30s, and I was like, oh, the new Megan album's coming out at the end of the week. And they were both like, one of them goes, I don't like her. The other one goes, yeah, after what she did to my boy Tori. And I'm like, oh my god. Misogyny. I don't even know if they know why they don't like her, but I know. She intimidates men, and for that alone, we have so much to thank her for. The next track, Budget, is a slay all around. I personally think it's the best collab on the album with Lotto. It's definitely one of the best songs on the album, definitely one of my favorites. They just match each other's energy so well, and I love that, Lotto keeps coming back. It's not just one, she's not just the bridge. She's very much a part of the song, and I always appreciate that when features are used in that way. Track 5, Her, she is playing with a sonic aesthetic that I definitely have not heard her playing around with up until now, but it makes complete sense with the, the year we're having with the house music revival with Renaissance and Drake, I guess. Super solid track. Would love to hear it in the club. Just a good, good feminist anthem. Gift and a Curse is probably one of my least favorite tracks. Lyrically, it's definitely the weakest, and on top of that, it's on top of a pretty basic beat, so nothing really, fancy there. Miss Nasty very much feels like a classic Megan track that could have been on Good News. Red Wine is a super sexy song, one of the sexiest I've heard from her, down to the lyrics, the production, the flow, the melodies, all of it. Yeah. Scary is the next track. I definitely don't think it's the best track on the album, but it's very cute, and obviously We Go Nasty is the perfect feature for a track called Scary. The next track, Anxiety, is probably the most personal track on the album. The general message of this song is bad bitches have bad days too, but throughout the song she goes deeper into why bad bitches like herself have bad days too. For example, one of the lines that stood out to me was, they keep saying speak your truth, but at the same time they don't believe. Say it with me, or sing it with me. Misogyny. That's what I get for singing. The second verse is probably the only like verse on this album that like brought tears to my eyes. She's talking about, you know, if she could send a letter up to heaven, which is where her mom, aunt, and dad are, which is something people don't talk about. Like, her mom, dad, and aunt all died in 2019, and like then she went on to have like the biggest year of her career in 2020. So that's another thing where I'm just like, don't come for Megan. Don't fucking come for Megan. The next song, Flip Flop, is very much like a sister song. It feels like to Anxiety, the previous track. But this one has more of the theme of being lonely at the top, especially without her parents. She says, like, she just wants to talk to someone who gets her. And, you know, I think she mentions, like, on Ungrateful, or one of the earlier tracks, how, like, all of the girls she thought were her friends just wanted what she has. Oh, yeah, like, people ain't... It's on this song. Your people ain't your people. They want what you got. So yeah, it made me feel bad for her. Like, come on. Going forward, we're back into, you know, the talking about sex that is, you know, Megan's specialty, with Consistency, which is a great R&B forward collab with Janae Aiko. Pretty self-explanatory. It's about needing consistent dick. Their voices really work well together, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna be bumping this one. The next track, Star, is definitely one of my least favorite tracks on the album, but it is like the most pop forward song on the album. It reminds me just in general of like a Bruno Mars track. Lucky Day is definitely one of the best male features on the album. However, the bar is pretty low, to be honest, which brings me to Pressurelicious, which was I think Sweetest Pie was technically a single, but I'll get to that, but was like the main single for this album. Megan really carries the track. Future is really not doing much here. Definitely one of his worst features in a bit. I'd honestly rather listen to Endgame. Plan B was the second or like last single we got before the album drops. This is one of my favorite tracks, might be my favorite. And a lot of it is because of the old school beat in this track and Megan's like flow and performance over it. It's like her voice, her style, all of that fits so well with this kind of beat and this kind of production, and I really hope she does more of this kind of stuff in the future, and has probably one of the most iconic lines on the whole album, "Dick don't run me, I run dick," which is like incredibly true. The next track, Southside Royalty Freestyle, in my opinion should have been the closer. She's connecting to her roots, and the features on this one are not remotely as bad as the Future and Key Glock and what is it, like Pooh something. Yeah, it makes sense on this track. But yeah, I say it should have been the closer because Sweetest Pie is the closer. Love this song. Like, when this came out, I was like, slay, Dua and Megan. I love it. Great. This is one of my ultimate grievances with Megan, is that I do feel like she often will just like throw the singles from that year that she released on the like end of the album. She did this on Good News. Sweetest Pie is a great track, but it could have been left as a single. If Southside Royalty Freestyle was the last track on this album, it would have closed out in a very like perfect, like thematically and sonically way, but then like Sweetest Pie just like kind of like undoes a little bit of what she was building, you know, aesthetic wise. And I felt similarly with like, you know, I think it was like Girls in the Hood, Thought Shit, Don't Stop, as like, oh, and then like the Savage remix. Those were all in a row at the end of Good News in 2020, and I really feel like she could have or should have just ended the album with Outside, I think was what was the last thing. Or is it Outside? Yeah, it was Outside, which is one of my favorite tracks of that album. And I don't know, like, maybe it's something that comes down to like her record label being like, you have to put this track on the album, like, for numbers and all of that. But let's say that wasn't a factor. I think she should have ended with Southside Royalty Freestyle, because I think Sweetest Pie, while it's a great track, just doesn't fit with the album at all. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the album. Overall, This is definitely an artistic development for Megan. The female features on this album are incredible. Honestly, she should just stop working with men. I know that's not possible. I know. Especially as a rapper, but a girl can dream. She also was singing a lot on this album, and I really like her voice, so that was nice. I still think she could have gone a little bit deeper with the whole, aesthetic idea of darkness and trauma, and just actually talking about personal things through her lyrics. But you gotta start somewhere, right? And while this album does still feel slightly bloated, it's definitely less bloated than Good News, and definitely has more of a cohesive theme to it. So yeah, she's developing, and generally her performances on this album are pretty solid throughout. So yeah, I'm gonna give this album a strong 6. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, follow me on TikTok or Instagram if you like. Same username, Valagor5678, always and forever. Let me know in the comments if there's any new releases coming out within the next few months that you want me to review, and I will certainly check those out. But in the meantime, stay safe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!